Hello and welcome to Sport Tonight. I'm Cecilia Amogbe, right here in Lagos.
Sport greetings to you wherever you are in the world watching us in London. I'm Austin Okonakwa. Cecilia, right here in England, reactions continue to trail Arsenal's loss to Manchester City in the Carabao Cup final. Look, some fans are saying, where will Mikel Arteta win a trophy? Since 2020, they've been looking for one. Others are saying, look, if Mikel Arteta doesn't win anything this time around, then he should wave goodbye to the club.
Oh, okay. From quadruple, is not treble now. They're still in. They still got the chance to at least win 3 this season. But then the breaking news coming from Merseyside talking about Liverpool. They've allowed Mo Salah to go after 9 seasons. And not just that, after 435 games and 255 goals. So Mo Salah will be leaving Anfield at the end of the season. His contract will be ending next season, but they've allowed him to go for free. That's how big, that's how much they value this legend who has won so many trophies for Liverpool. That will definitely get some of our attention tonight on the show. You know, it's a Tuesday, and once it's a Tuesday, we've got the NWFL on the men, and that's Nigerian Women's Football Premiership. And also, you've got the NPFL. We're going to be taking a look at all the games that went down from Saturday to Sunday, and of course, the big one that happened on Monday, where we thought Rivers United will maybe solidify position at the top of the table and see how they can win the league. But somehow, Nasarawa United says, okay, you have to wait for a long time. And they were thrashed 4-1. I think that's their biggest loss this season. So we'll be talking about Nigeria Premier Football League match J31 getting our attention. And yes, the NFF Congress, the extraordinary General Assembly that happened in Yenagoa on Monday, that will also get our attention. What are the things they want to put in place ahead of the election, especially concerning the statute that has to do with elections? So that will get our attention tonight. So you'll be hearing from all the parties of what went down in Yenagoa on Monday. Basically, it's a Tuesday, right? Anytime we are here on a Tuesday night, there's always someone who's here with us. Ken Idris, it's great to have you join us.
It's good to be here. And it's always fantastic. Though I've been missing for a couple, but it's good to
be back.
To join the team. And already a lot of stories from Nigeria to Africa, getting our attention. And it feels like a very filled time, even as much as we're going into, international break. And you just mentioned extraordinary, NFF. It makes me laugh. But
the Extraordinary General Assembly of the Nigeria Football Federation completed.
They should take you as the announcer for the meeting. You seem you are very good with it.
Well, that's the name.
That's the name, I know. Exactly. Extraordinary. I shall know extraordinary in the whole thing. That's the most important line.
The election is election year, so we know how important this meeting is. And of course, the fact that we failed to qualify for the World Cup, which some people, by the way, are still hoping we can qualify. Someone actually told me this evening, I won't mention his name, he's a very popular figure. He says, Iran may not go to World Cup. I'm sure he goes to collect his slots. I love it. I love Nigerians because, Nike has released the jersey for the Super Eagles. And we said, okay, this is for 2027 African Cup of Nations. Yeah. But it's World Cup year. When I saw France also released theirs. Yeah. Nike also sponsor France. I saw that and I saw Super Eagles jersey. I'm like, June is just how many days away.
They can quickly use it for the friendlies, Iran and Jordan. Yes, there is Iran and Jordan. Before we wait till September window.
Okay, we have Super Eagles on the menu today. We'll be talking about them. We'll try and see if we can, if players have arrived camp. We'll definitely break the news to you. At the moment, there are no reports from players arriving camp, but from reports, feelers we're hearing is the fact that most of the players will arrive tonight and tomorrow morning. The first game is on Friday, while the second one is on the 27th. That's on Tuesday. Tuesday next week. That's how the games are. The friendlies against Iran and of course against Jordan is in Turkey. That's where these games will be taking place. Austin, let's start with the NFF Congress. What really happened? I know you want to talk about Arsenal fans. They're still really not so happy. But we're going to talk about that much later if we have time, because I really don't want to talk about Arsenal fans today. But you want to talk about them. I know the reason why I don't want to talk about them. But I wish I could talk about Chelsea. But let's talk about the NFF Congress. What went down on Monday in Yanogoa in Bayelsa State, the General Assembly, extraordinary General Assembly that happened. This was convened simply because the NFF approved sweeping reforms to its governing framework, including amendments to its statutes and electoral processes. So this is in preparations for, of course, the Federation's election that is coming up September this year in Lafia, Nasarawa State. That's where this will be happening this year. And one thing I love about what this is doing is that the Congress ratifying the composition of both the NFF Electoral Committee and the Electoral Appeals Committee. So you now have people, in charge of that. We didn't have that for a while since this administration came on. So they're trying to do that. And of course, the decision followed nominations by leaders of the country's 6 geopolitical zones, with 12 individuals selected to serve across the 2 bodies. And of course, you've seen dignitaries that were there at the General Assembly. You have the National Sports Commission Chairman Sheudiko. You also have the DG, Bukola Lokmade. You also have some people from FIFA. And of course, CAF, and that's NFF First Vice President right there. And of course, Danny Egali, former President of Nigeria Wrestling Federation, is also Sports Commissioner for Bayelsa State. Yeah, these are the reps. We saw them from FIFA and CAF, all of them right there at the Congress. So September 26th, that's the NFF Elective Congress in Lafia, Nasarawa State. That's one of the takeaways from this particular General Assembly, Austin.
Yeah, good one, particularly that's one that they were able to, announce the next elective Congress for the 26th of September this year. So we're going to maybe have a new NFF president, or Ibrahim Gusso will continue. There's a representative from FIFA, and there was also a representative from the Confederation of African Football. It was, richly attended, and it means that this is serious business. We need to find a way to, bring in those reforms that Nigerian football has been yearning for. The Chairman National Sports Commission, Shehu Diko, he said it clearly after the Congress that, look, we cannot be using the 2010 statutes anymore. It's obsolete. And I completely agree with him. This is 2026, particularly the elective Congress itself. There's need for an expansion. So tomorrow they will inaugurate all of those key positions that they selected from the different 6 geopolitical zones, and then we'll see how serious they are carrying their Idris, because we've been there, done that with football in Nigeria, and it's all been talks. We want to see action. We want to see a larger elective Congress. We want all sides to be represented properly. But Kende, before I get you talking, let's listen to the Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State. He was also there, and he had some remarks to make at the NFF Extraordinary General Assembly.
Transparency. And I wish to respectfully emphasize the importance of fairness, transparency, and integrity in all your decisions. The future of Nigeria football depends not only on talents on the field, but also on credibility and sound governance. The millions of young Nigerians who look to football as a pathway to opportunity expect a system that is structured, inclusive, and just. On behalf of the government and good people of Bayelsa State, I wish to reaffirm our unwavering support for the Nigeria Football Federation and the development of football in Nigeria. Our commitment is not seasonal, as most of you will attest. It is rooted in our identity as a people and sustained by our belief in the power of sports as a tool for youth development, social cohesion, and economic opportunity.
Awesome. I totally agree with what the deputy governor talked about. Kehinde Idris were waiting for the amended status. It will say March 2026. But with everything that you've seen and heard from this extraordinary General Assembly, is the Nigeria Football Federation really ready for a change?
I think, I don't know, something in me feels like we might just be heading for something new, but the same feeling or the same child in me is saying, you've had this feeling before, thinking, we're about to hit something new, and still we got to the decay, or we still stayed around the decay. Now, one of the issue I've always had with, this entire setup, we see the same thing being rounded again. I'm not saying you can't do things differently with the same people, but it's always very hard. The same people would hardly give you a different thing. So we're talking of the 6 geopolitical zones, with their reps and all of that. How are you selecting these people? What is their antecedent? What is their record? Where are they coming from? How savvy are they when it comes to these positions? These are questions that needs to be asked of all all of these people coming in, because yes, you can say maybe some fresh inject, new faces, some new names and all of that, but check their track record. Is their track record saying they would in their offices take us to the next level, or we're just going to be in and around the same thing that has been happening? If the track record doesn't say anything different, why am I excited? As much as I say I have a feeling that it looks like we might be heading somewhere, I'm also looking at personnel, because the pen, the paper, the table will not move. It is the humans who make the move. And who are the humans? These are people that we've seen and we have been disappointed in to a large extent. I'm looking at every face is there. The same kind of discourse, the same kind of body language. There is just something, probably because it's coming off the back of we not qualifying for another World Cup, and we remember how the Nations Cup went and all of those. Maybe that's why I feel like these people should also feel the pain of the people and take our football to the next level. And for Peter Akpe, who spoke, talking about fairness and transparency, I think these are 2 words that has been missing. There is no fairness anywhere when it comes to our football, whether at the club level, national level, and transparency, don't even go, is murky. There is nothing transparent about anything that happens there. And then he talked about, people who are the young ones who are trying to get to the next level. One of the things they look out for, is credibility in the system. The system does not afford any level of credibility. And so you see stars rise and fall like they never existed. Every day we churn out. We talk about talent. Some people say there are no more talent. There is always talent. By divine intervention from the Supreme Being, Nigeria gets deposits of talent every now and then. Just like you talk about Brazil or the Spain and all of that. But how do you help this talent into a refined product is the problem. And then for Bayelsa, with what they are doing with wrestling and other sports, we see them in National Sports Festival, the Youth Festival, and so many other activities. When he said unwavering support, their support is not temporary or is not attached to this. We are a sport-loving state, and we continue to support without wavering. I believe them totally, because for like 6-7 years, we've seen it in that state, and Bayelsa athletes continue to shine like a million stars. And hopefully, maybe this will be applied to the bigger picture. But the bigger picture, I've got a lot bedeviling it. I don't know how it could work on that.
Yeah, sometimes I just really want to take positive from you sometimes, and I'm trying to look for one, I can't find none. But also at that particular extraordinary General Assembly, members passed a unanimous vote of confidence in the NFF Executive Committee led by Ibrahim Guzo, praising his efforts for actually promoting and developing football across Nigeria. Now, let's take a listen to the chairman of the National Sports Commission, talking about Sheudiko, and also Ibrahim Guso, that's the NFF president, what they're planning ahead of the election this year.
Governing the administration of football in Nigeria has not been refilled. So we are taking some steps to make sure that at least we do something about it. So these are the key things that we are looking at this Congress, because, you know, when we talk of extraordinary Congress, it's very specific on the agendas, and these agendas are only about reviewing our status as well as setting up a roadmap for our next elective Congress, which will be coming up in September. There is going to be some review so that at least we take away the feelings that for 16 years the document has not been reviewed. So, and it's something that is continuous. This cannot be the last time that it will be reviewed, but something definitely will take place today. And then from there, we set up a roadmap that we are going to meet with you guys by September to go for our elective Congress.
The statutes have been obsolete, and I can tell you I'm privileged to be part of the people in 2005 that drafted the first statutes of the NFF. So this is how many years today? To 21 years ago, they are about, and the time has moved, and they have to move with the time. So I must commend the NFF for convening the Congress to start the process, because once we do the first amendment, to do subsequent amendments will be easy because it has been done. So I'm sure at the NFF, the Congress, the way we have spoken to them, they have to now put down any personal interest or any potential benefits for keeping the old statutes, and make sure they do something that will last a lot of time. That history will be kind to all of them if they are able to do it the right way.
Yeah, they need to do that. At least history will definitely remember them if there are changes that are made ahead of elections, whereby more people, as you mentioned earlier, the elective Congress will be larger than what we currently have, whereby you have just only the chairman of the different leagues. I'm talking about the NWFL, the NNL, NPFL, and NLO are the ones, you know, that are voting. The secretaries are not included, so there are a lot of people that are excluded from that, and there are also people who can not actually, you know, contest for elective positions. Yeah. So these are some of the things I believe they will want to put in place. Now we have the committees have been inaugurated. These are some of the things they will work on to ensure that, yes, they are able to, you know, get something at the end of the year. But let's leave the elective Congress, the General Assembly. We'll rest it here. We know this discussion will definitely continue. For the Super Eagles of Nigeria, we're still waiting for players that have arrived. At the moment, you still don't have any player in camp. How many? 13 players. Okay, I think we have 13 players in camp at the moment, 13. So that's a good one. So 13 players have arrived. The Super Eagles camp, you know, what we normally do here by Thursday we should be able to bring you all the list of the players that are in camp. I think my producer is trying to get through to me on how many the players that are there, but there are 13. Well, how many of them, well, who are these players? And what we'll find out just as the show continues, we'll be able to give you
I'll tell you,
players. Okay,
Cecilia,
Austin, you've got all the numbers, right?
I'm also monitoring that Ayodele Bashiru is in camp. Alex Iwobi, Emmanuel Oluwasegun is there. Yiraso, Paul Onuachu, Philip Otele has also touched down. Semi Ajayi, Moses Simon, Francis Uzo, Bruno Onyemechi, Bright Osai Samuel, Frank Onyeka, that's Frank the Tank, and Adebayo Adile goalkeeper. So 13 players already in camp for that international friendly against Iran and Jordan. So
the new invitees, Yiraso, and is one of those players that are currently in camp. So 13, that's a good one, because a feel is reaching us is that the coach is actually sent out a warning to all the players. By tomorrow morning, you don't have all the players in camp. Maybe they won't get invited anymore, or they won't be part of the friendlies. But I think that's a good one. So the Super Eagles camp is bubbling. 13 players at the moment are currently in camp ahead of the 2 friendlies against Iran and Jordan. So that will be taking place later in Tokyo, Friday and Tuesday next week. We'll go on a break. When we come back from this break, we'll continue with Sport Tonight. But why Sport Tonight continue on all our streaming platforms, on DSTV platform inside the Niger Delta with Mamuda Akuga will continue. Welcome back. Yeah, we'll get confirmation of all the players in camp as the show goes on. But then we're going to be taking a look at, you know, the fixtures, just for you to have an idea of what's going to be happening on Friday, venue, and of course the time for the game against Iran and Jordan. Iran, of course, is at the going to the World Cup, but with the unrest in the Middle East, a lot of political issues going on, but it's confirmed that they will be going, but they want the game to be moved to Mexico. That's how they can compete. But feelers from FIFA know that those games cannot be moved. I just hope U.S. President Donald Trump will help everyone so that Iran will be able to participate at the World Cup. The fans will definitely want to see them at this World Cup that has 48 teams. So let's take a look at the international friendly between Nigeria and Iran, the time and the venue. It's going to be happening in Antalya in Turkey, and time is 4 p.m. That's Nigerian time, because that's the game one, which will be happening on Friday, the 27th. And the second game, which will be happening on Tuesday, if you can have that, that will be against Jordan. That's the game 2 for the international friendly. But this time around, this game will be 8 p.m., the same venue. So this will definitely bring the Super Eagles together. We haven't been with them we haven't seen them since the Nations Cup where they finished third, but this will be a good way to actually watch the Super Eagles again. So those, if you're in Turkey, you can actually, go and support the Super Eagles and cheer them to victory against these countries for the international friendly. So I love the fact that Nigeria is actually utilizing the international breaks. Of course, this will definitely, with the new players that have been invited, is a way to actually test some players and bring in new players into the fold.
Well, one of the hardest things for national team coaches is to find time to spend with the players, instill, his philosophy, his idea into the team before competition. And these are windows like this where you're playing friendlies or preparatory games and all of that. So I think since he got the job, he has not had any window like this. I'm talking of Eric Chell, a window where nothing, he's not under pressure to get anything. Results. Just, instill, get the kind of players that you want, and, move forward from there. And so I guess the reason why we got feelers that I wanted them to get to camp as early as possible. This is a time where we need to, really bond, have the kind of players that I want, talk to them, let's feel each other, not being in competitive mode. Competitive mode also comes with its own complexities. So he wants where we are not in that space. What we want is how we get to understand each other and move forward from there. But for Nigerians who are still talking about the playoffs is gone, because while some other teams are talking about playoffs, we are talking about playing Jordan and also Iran in the friendly. So congratulations to us. At least if they are playing elsewhere, we are also playing football. So
Austin, can you tell Kende to stop rubbing it in? We understand.
I know, but I think I like this friendly in a lot of ways that I cannot explain. First, what's going on in Iran might just be, a good blessing for the match, because, Iran is a hot click now, so they will get mentions in the media. Nigeria Super Eagles can actually use this also, to put some international respect to their name. I've heard people say, oh, why Iran, why Jordan, why not, why not, particularly where we are with our football. I love that point you made, Kende Idris, that now there's no pressure. He's not doing this because he's looking for one ticket or he's trying to win one trophy. He's going to relax, have a look at these players, particularly those ones that are invited newly. Don't bring them now and put them on the bench. Let's seriously, if you say, oh, Philip Otele is good and people have been conversing for him to be in the team, play him, give him a chance. We've been having goalkeeping issues for some time now. Stanley Wabali isn't around. Let's see what the other guys can do. Let's see a proper team play. Let's see some level of, understanding. Let's see a style. Let's put some respect to the brand of the Super Eagles. It's very, very important. And look, Kende Idris, we're not going to be at the World Cup. Yes, that is established. Well, for now, because NFL said they're taking their petition to CAS, so you never say never. But in the meantime, it's a time to reflect. We just talked about the Extraordinary General Assembly. There's an election coming up in September for the leadership of the Nigeria Football Federation. all of these come into play. We need intentional leadership.
Yes.
We want people that can translate their passion towards results for the national teams. We want proper developmental programs. We should at this point be saying, okay, we've done everything to win, and we're not killing. We're not winning. So let's kill the win at all costs, Cecilia Kende Idris, and build properly and go through the fire, go through the pain. People might laugh at us, but at the end of the day, we might just see the results that we're yearning for, and that's what I think we can do with this. And while I was saying, big ups to Eric Shell, the NFF should come out playing on his future. Is the man one leg in or one leg out, or is fully committed with our national team football? All of this is what I want them to come out and have that sincerity of purpose. And let's see if we can win again with our football.
Yeah, that's where transparency comes in. So you don't fill in the gaps and the loopholes when you don't have the right facts. All right, let's go to the Nigerian Women's Football League Premiership. Yes, it makes us happy when we're talking about the NWFL. Now, the NWFL have actually announced that Ekiti Queens can now return to their home. So match day 12, they will be playing in Ado Ekiti, where they will be hosting Peseto Queens. Remember, they were banished in December to Abeokuta after what happened against Edo Queens, where a fan assaulted match officials. So that's why they were banished. Also, Akwa Ibom, Ibom Angels will be now have their fans watching them when they're playing games. They're hosting Adamawa Queens on Wednesday, so they will also have their fans cheering them to victory when they host Adamawa Queens. Let's take a look at all other games that are coming up match day 12 of the Nigerian Women's Football League Premiership, starting with Wednesday's fixtures for Group A. Ibom Angels, Adamawa Queens, I mentioned earlier. Edo Queens will be hosting Kitty Queens. You have Rivers Angels and Pesiters. You have Bayelsa Queens and Niger Rotters will be in action. For Group B, you have Remo Stars Ladies and Confluence Queens, Delta Queens and Robo Queens, and Oshun Babes hosting Abia Angels, and Nasarawa Amazons and Ayudiyame will be in action, completing the games for Group B. Danas Ladies in Lagos will be hosting Sunshine Queens. So this the fixtures for this weekend. So, Kendi, I'll come to you. Which of these games, the one that really, get your attention? A lot of games, right? You will say.
Yes, a lot, especially Rivers, Edo, Bayelsa games. I think I'm loving what the three teams are doing in that Group A. When you're big, you need to come on the pitch and make that statement. Not we writing and talking about how big you are. Show it. No. Make us talk about how you continually showed it, and that's what Rivers, Edo, and Bayelsa are doing in Group A. And I want to see all three. No disrespect to the other teams. I want to see all three get into the Super 6 because they are formidable, because they are big, because they are a proper, women's team, and they will give the Super 6 a good feel. And then you go to Group B. That is where I have games I want to see. Delta, as much as they are not really pulling their weight against Robo Queens. Robo Queens are sitting at the top of the Group B table, but they need to continue to consolidate. So this will be a very big test for them playing Delta. And then Danas Ladies against Sunshine Queens. Danas are moving in and around scary positions when it comes to dropping. They need this game they're about to play. So I think those two games will definitely get my attention. But kudos to the Queens in Group A, Rivers Angels, Edo Queens, and also Bayelsa Queens.
Those guys are chasing each other right there. Edo Queens went away to Heartland to get a victory.
The winner of the league might come from there.
Okay. It's possible. Let's take a look at the top 3 and the bottom 3 the group standings from Group A and Group B. So we're starting off with this one. The Rivers Angels, they are top of it after 9 games, 8 wins. They've had no draws here, but they've lost just 1 game and 13 goal difference, and they have 24 points in all. Edo Queens are second. They have played more games out of the top 3. 10 they've played, 8 they've won. They've lost 2 games so far, and 11 goal difference, 24. Tied on this, but Rivers Angels are topping. Based on the fact that they played a game less, and also goal difference. You go to Bayelsa Queens, they're 9. They were topping for a long time, but they've lost 2 games so far this season. They've won 7, but they have a game in hand. They are on 21 points. And what do we have here in the bottom 3? Ekiti Queens that will be up against Edo Queens on Wednesday evening. On After 10 games, they've won just 3, drawing 1, losing 6, and of course, goal difference -1 and 10 points. They've had Pesseto Queens, only 1 win this season, which they registered last week. The draws 2 and the losses 7, same numbers of losses with Nigeriatas, who have also won 1 game so far this season, but goal difference of -15 for Nigeriatas. So this team may not survive this season. We have 6 more games to play, and where you have that's why they are on 5 points after 10 games from Group A. Let's go to Group B quickly before I go to Austin. FC Robo Queens are still top in here. They're just leading the pack. They've been topping for a while. They don't want to relinquish this particular position. 11 games they played, winning 8, drawing 1, losing just 2, goal difference of 15. So they're scoring goals and also they're winning games. And they have a 25 points after 11 matches. That's a good record for them. Natural Amazons, same numbers of games, but they've won just 6 games, drawing 4, losing 1, but they've drawn 4. That's where the problem is. A goal difference of 8, and they're on 22 points. Ramosters ladies, after 11 games, they're chasing this top 3. 4 draws and 2 losses also, but they've won 5. That's a very few compared to the top 2 teams, and that's why they are on 19 points. Confluence Queens, after 11 matches, 2 wins, only 2 wins this season. Draws are 4, 5 losses, -9 goal difference and points 10. Donners ladies, after 11 games, 3 wins, 1 draw, 7 losses. That's where the problem is. -14 in goal difference and 10 points. While you have Oshun Babes, just 9 points from 11 matches. They've lost 6 games so far, goal difference of -10. Of course, how many wins? Just 2 wins out of 11 this season. Austin NWFL is hotting up match day 12. So 6 more games to go, right?
I know, and now it's shaping up. You know, if you take a look at Group A and Group B, the favorites are beginning to distance themselves away, because now they can start thinking about the Super 6. But match day 12 is interesting. If you have a look at that Group A, the 3 top teams, Edo Queens, Rivers Angels, and Bayelsa Queens, are playing at home. Now, hold that thought. One of them will drop points or lose. And I'm tilting towards Bayelsa Queens against Nigeria Ratels. So I would say Austin, Bayelsa Queens, but look at right, Nigeria Ratels on the table, and they are that kind of team that can create upsets when you least expect. So I know that one team from Group A will lose or drop points. And let's go to Group B also.
Yeah.
See, FC Robo Queens on top of that table. There's Delta Queens taking on FC Robo Queens. So you know that's going to be tough, right, Cecilia and Kende, when they go to take on Delta Queens. So that might just, it won't do much to the league table. But Remo Stars ladies and Delta Queens, we have a look at that table and see how they can consolidate. So bottom line, things are shaping up, but match day 12 presents an interesting opportunity for teams to say, let's see how we can slow this one down and see how changes can come from match day 13. So let's brace up, Cecilia.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there, because Ramosters are at home against Confluence Queens, so that result might just be in their favor. But even if they win that, they'll still be on 22 points, because FC Robo Queens have put up a big league, at 25, and Nasarawa at 3 points behind them. So that's shown that this is a team that really ready to grab that Super 6 spot and then get into it. Right, let's leave the NWFL and quickly go to the NPFL. Well, I mean, you've been nodding and shaking your head because you want to talk about the NPFL, of what happened, especially to Rivers United. We'll start off with that game first before we'll give you results that happened at the weekend, because this is a match that we didn't expect. The numbers of goals and also the way Rivers United capitulates, that's the word I can actually use for them. I mean, the coach Mangot had to say that the goals they scored will be important in the decisive stage of the season. True. Because at the moment they are tied in goal difference. The second place Rivers United on the league table. Now they're third, 50 points. Rivers have 52. But if you take a look at how these teams started, how Rivers United started, with they have 7 games at hand, they had 6, they had 5, they had 3, we're doing the countdown, and all the games that they had, I mean, it seems, with due respect to them, I mean, with the kind of chances that Nasarawa United missed, could have been up to 8. You're looking at the game, right?
Yeah, exactly. For someone who is rooting for Rivers United, especially because of Finito, at some point it felt like by the time they finished their outstanding games, there will be 9 points ahead.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Yes. I was in that class.
But now they are 2 points behind, Rangers International. Oh, by the way, the working one, Fidelis Elechukwu, when he returned after the African Cup of Nations, said, "We can win the league because I am back." And since then, they've left no stone unturned. Yeah. They continue to get points here and there. And it's evident they are leading now. It's a level playing ground. At least we don't know when the FA Cup will start. The league is what we're facing squarely, and everybody's throwing everything they've got into it. And I don't know how Rivers United could overturn this from here, but most definitely we have home and away games in the NPFL. Everything changes, by the week. So I don't know how Rivers United found themselves here. They need to find themselves out of this place. Yeah, it's a war to win the league. Yeah,
Austin, I know you were seeing the game, right? You were watching the game and you were wondering what was going on with Nasarawa United. They could have scored more, and that's the embarrassing situation in this game that happened on Monday night, really.
Cecilia, it was a rush, the solid miners. They understood the mission. Under 15 minutes, 3-0. Under 15 minutes, and that's how you make a statement, because don't forget that at some point, Nasarawa United, they were the ones we're talking about that were likely going to, win this title. So as early as the 3rd minute, they opened scoring through Ingi Olukayo. Abubakar Abdullahi in the 6th minute. 3 minutes later, made it 2-0. Chimezie Victor, made it 3-0 in the 15th minute. So under 15 minutes, Nasarawa United said, no, not today, Rivers United. Rivers United pulled one back, and then Joe Frank Isfanos restored the 3-goal lead for the solid miners. Look, this is what we're talking about. It's match day 31. You blink, you start asking questions. Yeah. I said it, that what's wrong with Rivers United is mental, and they need to find a way to get back into it, because that experience on the continent did a lot of brain damage to this team. So I don't know how they're going to, find a way now, because any team they play now, all the matches are crucial. Yeah. Take a look at the NPFL table, Cecilia. Mm-hmm. The team on 6th or 7th position can still relegate.
That's how it is. I know the news that came out from this victory. The governor had to give these players 6 million naira. I mean, that 6 million. Yeah, 6 million. That's what he gave to them. So, well, it's a good one. Anyway, the governor gave them 4 million for each of the goals they scored, and the Commissioner for Sports added 2 million to it. Build facilities, please. That's important. All right, let's take a look at other results coming from match day 31. Abia Warriors and Niger Tornadoes. This ended 2-1 in favor of the home team. Nasarawa, of course, Rivers United. That's the one we mentioned earlier, 4-1. Kano Pillars and Eimba. I mean, Eimba also, what is wrong with them is also mental, psychological, I guess. Kano Pillars played 2 goals to nothing. Captain Fantastic Ahmed Musa scored the 2nd goal. Katsina and Shooting Stars by lone goal. Akun Khalifat and Ikorodu City. Ikorodu collected the point from then, headed 2-2. And the game between Plateau and Bayelsa, Plateau won by lone goal. Rangers, they are not topping the league. Economic Warriors ended 2-0. Bremo Stars, they're trying as much as possible to avoid relegation. Their relegation candidates also, Kwara United. I mean, you have the champions and the Federation Cup winners, former Federation Cup winners. These guys are actually at the bottom struggling. Cannibals have dug themselves out of that position. Warrior Wolves and Benin Insurance, this ended goalless, and Wiki Tourists and Bara FC also ended goalless. That game was played on Saturday. Now, let's take a look at the table. I don't know if we have the table, what it's looking like. The shape is actually looking like, at the moment, yes, Rangers, they are topping the league after 31 games, 15 wins, drawing 9, losing 7, and goal difference of 17, and they are on 54 points. Rivers occupied this position very, very long time. Even when they were not playing games, they were on the continent, they were still topping. But right now, that 52 point, it seems they are stuck there, while other teams are gaining more points. Goal difference of 6. That's what Nasarawa United coach was talking about. Now, on goal difference, they are tied there, but they are on 50 points after 31 games. They've won 14, and for Rivers, they've also won 14 games, but the draws are 10. That's where their problem is, and losses are 7 for Ikorodu City that finished with the top 4. Ikorodu City, after 31 games, winning 13. And of course, the draws are 10 and 8 losses, goal difference of 3 and 49. So these 3 actually the class of their own. Let's take a look at the bottom 4. What is it looking like? Wiki Tori still there, Remo Stars there, Kun Khalifa there, Kwara United there. But what Kano Pillars? They've left this WhatsApp group, so they are trying as much as possible. They are not going to relegation. Even the 3-point that was deducted from them, they've been able to walk over the ball. Kwara United have now dropped to the bottom of the table. So Remo Stars are trying to see how they can get themselves out of it. But that game between them and Kwara United, that was what actually got us talking at the weekend, Kende.
Yes.
That's 3-1.
Yes. Abdullah, the coach, is doing everything possible. The assignment is straight. There is no mincing words.
Yeah.
Get us out of that dungeon. Get us out of that pit, that devilish pit where, you go down. It might be hard for you to come back. So they are doing everything possible. We don't know if they will eventually get it done. But I want to... Kano Pillars,
yes.
Okay.
No, I mean, I was going to ask Austin.
Yes, Kano Pillars. I just wanted to...
Aimba position,
I wanted to go in line with Rabiu Ali, who had 2 assists, now 7 goals, 3 assists in the league. The man is 45 and he's still doing this. I just want to give him his flowers. Well done, Pele. It's been amazing having him, go this run.
Yeah, shout out to them. Also, you can see the pictures. We have time to actually see the goal that was scored at Ahmed Musa. You think that the first goal that was scored before Ahmed Musa scored his own goal. If you can quickly see that. I mean, Chidozie Okere was the one who opened the scoring, and Ahmed Musa just had to, double the advantage on the stroke of hard time, and then Aimba could not come back from that. Now, this is what
I said it, Cecilia, with what Kano Pillars, when they launched their survivor campaign, I said, look, they won't be going back. And with Aimba now, anything that meets them, we just say, look, we can have the psychological edge over these guys. They're no more the people's elephants, more like playing like the people's mosquitoes at the moment. So, shout out to Rabiu Ali. Let me join Kende Idris to say well done to this guy. Because if this guy was Messi or Ronaldo at 45,
yes,
we won't hear the last of him.
Yes.
Every match day, Rabiu Ali is in the conversation. And again, it was his assist, that gave Simon Sugida the second goal to, finally bury Aimba. So shout out to Rabiu Ali and the entire Kano Pillars team. But we know how immense Ahmed Musa is for the team. But with Aimba, they must be careful. I said it the last time, that they might just be thinking that, this is where Aimba, we can find a way to get out of it. They must come together and tell themselves that, look, you just shock everybody. Aimba will get relegated if they do not find a way. Now, the way
we have to go,
with the remaining 7 matches, Cecilia, they need to at least win 5. Otherwise, it will be hard. Aimba got me in my feelings, and I can just go on and on.
I know. You are 2 minutes behind.
That's the show. In London, I'm Austin Okonakwan. And everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
Just a quick one before I send Akaide. Samuel Chukwueze and Maduka Okoye will arrive in a few minutes in camp. And of course, their first training session will be 2 p.m. Nigerian time tomorrow. That's Wednesday. That's their first training session. Akaide, it was nice doing this with you.
Always lovely doing this. Hopefully, by the time this year ends, we'll be talking about a better NFF.
Yeah, better NFF, and I'm saddened that Mo Salah is leaving Liverpool. Maybe I'll have to stop watching them, because one of the reasons I love watching that club. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Mogbe. Have a good night, right?